You ever come home after a 12-hour shift bone-tired just wanting to see your brand new driveway only to find it smashed to bits like a construction site after a tornado? Yeah, that was me, Frederick Adams on a Tuesday, standing in front of what used to be my pride and joy just blinking at busted-up concrete. Like maybe if I squinted hard enough it'd all snap back together. But no, this was real. And right there in the middle of it all stood Tamara Alcott, HOA president, sun hat, giant sunglasses, clipboard, and a smirk so wide you'd think she just won the lottery. If you've never met someone who can ruin your week and act like they're doing you a favor, you've never met Tamara. Frederick, you know better than to pave your driveway without the proper forms, she said, that voice all high and nasally, the kind that makes your jaw clench before she's even finished her sentence. We had no choice. No choice, she says, like I'm the unreasonable one here while two guys in neon vests toss broken concrete into a dump truck in my front yard. I told her I'd submitted the form 6 weeks ago. She'd even signed it in the last meeting I had, the minutes, the paperwork, her signature. Tamara just waved her clipboard like it was a judge's gavel and said, "That wasn't final." Committee didn't reach consensus. Committee. I barked out a laugh. There is no committee, Tamara. It's just you and your little fan club who show up for the snacks. She actually laughed at that, all fake and brittle, then turned to the work crew. Boys, make sure the debris's gone by 5. We don't want to violate landscaping guidelines. I felt my pulse hammering. This wasn't some HOA technicality, this was personal. Tamara's held a grudge ever since I blocked her plan to ban street parking last year. And now she was making it my problem. That's when my neighbor Marcus strolled over. Frederick, I saw it all. They showed up before sunrise. Didn't even ring the bell. No warning, no notice, just he spread his arms, looking at the wreckage. Tamara rolled her eyes. We followed protocol. I stepped closer. No, you broke into private property and destroyed it. That's vandalism, Tamara. Her smile slipped a notch. Hope you've got good insurance, I said. She spun on her heel and stalked off, muttering about legal gray areas. Yeah, that happened, but I wasn't about to let it go. By sunset, I'd already filed a police report, called my construction lawyer cousin Riley, and emailed every document and video I had to city code enforcement. Tamara thought she could steamroll me, but she had no idea how stubborn I could be. That night, as I nursed a cold compress to my temple, head-pounding Officer Delaney showed up. Tall, tough, all business with a clipboard under her arm. She surveyed the disaster, asked for my paperwork, and checked out my ring cam footage. Your contractor says this was finished 2 days ago. You've got video documents, witnesses, not bad. I shrugged. Didn't feel like a win coming home to this. She nodded, crouched to look at the busted rebar and uneven dirt. They didn't file for city permits. Didn't notify 811. Could have hit a gas line. Her jaw clenched. You realize this is criminal mischief, felony vandalism, if the damage is clear 20 grand. I handed her the estimate, just under. She let out a slow breath, started making calls. By then, more neighbors had gathered. Marcus answered questions for a little crowd, people shaking their heads frustrated. She messed with my garden beds last month after I voted no on dues, a woman muttered. Officer Delaney came back. I need everything, video forms, board names. If there's acknowledgement of approval, that'll speed things up. I handed over a flash drive. She gave a small, real smile. I'll be visiting her next. Once Delaney left, the whole neighborhood felt tense, like everyone was holding their breath. They weren't just curious, they were waiting for someone to finally call Tamara out. The next morning, I called Riley. We hadn't talked in years, but she worked property law for the DA before going private. You've got 'em cornered, Riley said, going through my folder. Unauthorized destruction bylaw violation. If she reversed approval solo, she's on the hook. I told her Tamara would claim it was an emergency correction. Riley snorted. With video and docs, that's not flying, especially if this isn't her first rodeo. It wasn't. Riley grinned. Let's go for triple damages. A week later, Tamara was served papers right outside the clubhouse during her beautification meeting. She tried to play it cool, but the envelope spoke for itself, legal kind of heavy. Meanwhile, Officer Delaney confirmed the demolition crew had no city permits, no licensing, and got paid under the table from the HOA's reserve fund without board votes or treasurer sign-off. Suddenly, 2 board members quit, said they never agreed to any of this. The treasurer tried to claim innocence, but his name was on a check labeled landscape correction. That's when the city slapped the HOA with 4 code violations, and the city attorney launched a formal investigation into the finances. Now the neighborhood started waking up. All those random fines and surprise yard removals. Old stories resurfaced, sheds gone, mailboxes swapped, garden beds ripped out, always targeting folks who'd crossed Tamara. Marcus set up a meeting on the basketball court, portable PA, everyone with folding chairs. Tamara didn't show. I stood up, police report in one hand, petition in the other. Tamara acted beyond her authority. She used HOA funds to settle personal scores. If we let this slide, it won't be the last time. 63 signatures by sundown. Next day, the board suspended Tamara, locked her out of the clubhouse, took down her nameplate. Riley filed my civil suit. Cost of repairs, punitive damages, legal fees. HOA's insurance settled for nearly 60 grand. I rebuilt the driveway better this time. 8 security cameras, motion sensors, the works. The kicker. The HOA had to issue a front-page apology in the monthly newsletter right below a glossy photo of my pristine new driveway. Tamara disappeared, gone, vanished. Her car never parked on our street again. About 3 weeks later, City Inspector Havson knocked on my door, deadpan as a funeral. Following up on the HOA audit, your name's in the report. He laid out a spreadsheet. Turns out Tamara drained the reserve fund, made disbursements without paper trails, and paid the demo crew with a check marked stormwater management. Stormwater. I laughed. We haven't had a flood since Clinton. He didn't crack a smile. There was more. 5 grand marked as legal consultation, no invoice, just a receipt signed by Tamara. The city started sniffing around for fraud, state violations, even federal. Subpoenas flew not just for Tamara, but for the whole HOA board. I got calls from residents like Mrs. Garvey, who lived 3 blocks over. She'd never spoken at a meeting, but had a file folder stuffed with photos and letters. Her late husband's shed had been condemned by Tamara while he was in the hospital. No inspection, no vote, just a threat. Rebuild it, and I'll fine you $200 a day. Marcus started a log collecting every story, unapproved removals, odd fines, bogus infractions, all with Tamara's fingerprints. The DA convened a grand jury. Riley prepped me like I was testifying at Watergate binders, laser pointer, no coffee breaks. I was first witness. They played the footage, Tamara handing me the approval form. The jurors leaned in. The DA presented the HOA minutes, no mention of any vote, just a retroactive strikeout after the fact. The evidence was clear. Tamara lied, destroyed my property, paid the crew with hidden funds, then covered it up. 2 weeks later, Tamara was arrested at a private tennis club, no less cuffed in front of her brunch buddies. The mugshot made the news. The treasurer got indicted, the unlicensed contractor fined and barred, and the HOA dissolved under city order. The community held emergency elections. Marcus won president by a landslide. Mrs. Garvey, who'd never run for anything, became secretary. A retired accountant volunteered to audit a decade's worth of expenses. The first open meeting looked more like a block party, donuts, coffee, everyone talking at last. Marcus handed out new bylaw amendments. No funds moved without 2 signatures, public votes for everything, penalties only with third-party proof. I sat in the back just watching, feeling a weight I didn't know I'd been carrying finally lift. Restitution from the civil suit came through, triple damages. Tamara's account's frozen car seized her Sarasota condo under lien. I paved the driveway again, this time with custom slate and black borders. The rest went into the Garvey Fund, a community emergency stash. Then Riley got a forensic report Tamara had been laundering money through a shell landscaping company invoices for work that never happened, all routed through a cousin's name. 200 grand, 5 years. That's wire fraud. The FBI showed up in unmarked SUVs left with hard drives and a cash box. The neighborhood watched, silent. Not smug, just relieved, like a storm had finally passed. 3 days later, Marcus led a meeting full transparency, a projector aimed at the clubhouse wall. Fake vendors inflated contracts. Emergency dues increases all under Tamara. The city said the HOA was a victim, not complicit. Federal indictments followed. Her cousin copped to everything for immunity. Tamara was denied bail, and the news vans came calling. I refused interviews. The story was bigger than me now. With part of the settlement, we built an oversight committee, 5 residents rotating every expense over $500 published for a vote. I was asked to chair. Never wanted politics, but I thought of Mrs. Garvey's husband of Marcus pacing his garage when his project was denied, of all the folks who just wanted to live in peace. I said yes. We rebuilt our HOA from the ground up, quarterly financial reports. No president could override a vote without a 2/3 board sign-off, a permanent brass plaque at the clubhouse governed by the people who live here. One fall, I was invited to speak at a regional HOA reform summit. It felt strange telling my story to a room full of retirees and young families. This started with a driveway, I said, but it ended with accountability. Not because of one person, because a community stood up, asked questions, refused to be quiet. By winter, sentencing came down. Tamara got 12 years, no parole for 8, ordered to pay it all back, knowing full well we'd see only a sliver. But the message was clear: abuse power, lose it publicly, legally, forever. Our HOA became a model. Other neighborhoods borrowed our bylaws. Marcus always turned down speaking gigs, said he liked our block just the way it was. So one evening I pulled into my drive, sunsetting, gold across slate and black pavers, a kid on a bike waving wind chimes on the neighbor's porch. No citations, no fines, just people living like neighbors again. And you know what? That's all any of us really wanted. So let me ask you, if it happened in your neighborhood, would you stand up or let it slide? Where's the line between order and overreach, between community and control? Drop your thoughts below. Let's hear your stories, your wins, your battles, your ideas of what justice looks like where you live. And if you made it this far, hit that subscribe for more real stories. And tell me, what would you do if your driveway disappeared?